Thank you very much for joining today. And it was really very inspiring speeches before of ICFA cohort members. With some of them, we had a chance to work, collaborate, and it's really impressive how they're evolving and what kind of investment opportunities, what kind of technologies they're focused on now. So this is why I was thinking that it's more natural to bring the introduction in about investing in climate-related technologies and supporting the transformation from the climate change could be now mostly linked to what we have seen just a few minutes before. So I think it's clear that climate change consequences represent for us quite a huge risk in terms of transitional risk and physical risk on various assets, but also it's a huge amount of positive and interesting opportunities that we've just seen now. And here we go to the question, because the topic of my discussion is data, how we can assure our commitment and that our binding strategy and elements finally could be clearly presented, explained to investors, to stakeholders, and we can clearly calculate and measure the result of our of investment decisions in climate space. And this is quite a point that I think now on the agenda of most of investment managers in overall financial market participants. And unfortunately, it's not even easier to bring just one magical solution that is fit for all. First of all, because even if we speak about climate data, we could consider quite multiple universe of specific data points that should be assessed. Some of them, as we said, could be related to risk perspective. So some are more to positive and opportunities from, for instance, SDG linked revenues. From risk perspective, the most clear ones, scope of emissions, direct ones, indirect ones. And as you see that even the metrics, the variety of metrics that should be taken into account, the approach is how to measure them, how to find relevant data is not quite straightforward. So this is where the general market is moving towards to find some solutions, but also where the regulation started helping us to move forward. And I think one of the core point of moving towards harmonization and standardization in access to climate data, this is also the introduction of EU Sustainable Finance Action Plan in 2018 that helped to, first of all, mainstream the investment decisions towards sustainable economy, but also to mainstream ESG risk and climate risk into investment decisions. And thanks to this package, we now can benefit from specific regulations that is called, for instance, Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation or EU Taxonomy, that significantly increased the transparency in presenting the climate-related information, and also harmonize and standardize the approaches of how it should be reported across various asset classes. If we speak about Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, I think just our previous speaker, Sadgana, mentioned that they're classified as Article 9 fund. You might know that under this SFDR classification, there are various categories of funds, Article 8 and 9, that promotes ESG characteristics and have sustainability as key objective. And what we've seen on the market now that among Article 9 funds, the significant amount of them are really dedicated to climate investment solutions. And this is where the access to climate data points and standardized reporting is key. The second point is the implementation of EU taxonomy regulation. This is also not only a regulation per se, but this is a huge dictionary of finally identified at EU level, even beyond the EU, sustainable activities, of which most of them, two objectives of taxonomy, is also linked to climate thematics, so to climate adaptation and to climate mitigation. And what is behind this taxonomy? Behind this taxonomy, very detailed technical screening criteria where you can have access to the information, how and what are specific data points could be calculated, measured, and reported. So we see that regulatory framework is really moving us forward towards a much more clear definition of climate-related data. However, this is the framework and these are the requirements, but how can we respond to it? How we can finally collect and correctly calculate and represent this data? Inside EY, in EMEA, so in European region, it was created a specific survey to understand a bit what is happening on the market in terms of climate data providers and ESG providers in general, and with a specific focus on climate. And we've seen now that, of course, there are more and more opportunities to get access to this information from the third parties. The methodologies still are different. This could be quite a critical point when selecting one or another data providers. Some of them are very universal, where you can count on them analyzing various elements, not only climate metrics, but also social and governmental. And some of them are very niche, that can help you really be focused on specific metrics, yeah, for your reporting towards investors and regulatory reporting. We highlighted quite a few of them here, but there are many more. And I think one of the challenge now is to really map, compare them, understand whether they are really applicable for the asset class you represent, whether they cover the data you're interested in, whether they can go beyond and provide you with some assumptions, methodologies, some proxies to finally help you with calculations and report. There are various options to collaborate with them and use. There could be choosing one, the best, the most, let's say, the one who cover the broad aspects of data points. There could be an opportunity to have a mix of them and apply them as a plan A, B, and C, depending on what data points are available. Of course, it's a lot depends on your internal strategy and decision. It's a lot depends on all your internal processes, how you're structured, and whether you have resources as well in place to analyze various data points from data providers and have something more structured way and maybe the final more average indicators. So I would say various approaches are present now, and we see as well that as a future as well, that data providers are very much adapting and trying to keep pace with the requirements from investors and asset managers. They are developing more niche solutions using a lot machine learning. They are introducing as well third-party verifications, providing you and to you investors comfort that the reported climate data based on some specific scientific points, that the methodology behind they provide is also verifiable. So there is for sure this positive stream of increasing the quality of the climate data. However, this is still a journey. It couldn't be completed in just one day. And we see that in a flow of these technical solutions, additional regulatory requirements are coming into force that are called Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, that would also oblige over 50,000 companies in EU and beyond to report on various ESG points, including scope of emissions, energy indicators, that would help a lot to provide quite open and standardized way of collecting data. Of course, 50,000 companies, this is still not enough to cover your needs. We understand that there is a lot data that is needed from small and medium enterprises that wouldn't be covered by the regulation so far. However, this type of initiatives, regulators mandate to collect a lot of data points from its value chain, and for sure even small and medium enterprises would be triggered by the overall reporting obligations. So we see, let's say, summing up a few streams and trends at what you can look at. You can see at more standardized methodologies of calculating emissions and various climate data points. You can see the path of data providers to help you to respond to this type of needs, producing or more general or specific niche solutions or the combination of them. You see the regulatory path, the opening you the access to more standardized and measurable metrics. And the fourth pillar, the fourth path, it's the increasing level of verification, challenging of the climate available data in order to provide more trust to investors and in order to provide more trust to investors in climate investing. So we hope that looking at these four paths, and all of this information is now more and more publicly available, will help you take the right decision how you would structure and measure your climate achievements and present them to your investors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna, for this sharing your insightful expertise on data.
Apply now.